Without further ado, we will go into our second panel, diving into deep tech and its various training opportunities. Discover from our panel of professionals who took the plunge into the murky waters of deep tech and how they navigated its depths. Uncover a new world of training opportunities available, the skill sets needed to be part of this space, and how to start acquiring these new skills. Moderating this session, please welcome Veronica Puah, Director of Talent Networking, SGInnovate. And joining her as our esteemed panelist, we have Lim Tern Poh, Principal AI Consultant, AI Innovation at AI Singapore. Mark Chua, Fund Manager and Lead Data Scientist, Maybank Asset Management, Singapore. Ash Goh, Head of Customer Success, Microsec. Dr. Janet Ooi, ASEAN Lead Data Scientist, Big Data and Analytics Solutions Engineering, Oracle. Veronica, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Veronica, and thank you for joining our panel on diving deep into deep tech and its various training opportunities. We've got an exciting lineup today, and all our panelists have very interesting stories to tell about how they've gotten to where they are today. Right. Before we begin, you can pose questions to our panelists in the Q&A tab, and we will get to them towards the end of the panel session. Our panel has also prepared some questions for you. If you take a look at the poll tab on the right, you will be able to see the first question. Right. Now, the first question that we have today for you is, where are you in your journey towards a deep tech career? Do give us your responses and we'll come back to the results in a little bit. Now, let's get to know our panelists a little bit better. We have Jeanette from Oracle, Tern Poh from AISG, and Mark from Maybank, and Ash from Microsec, right? Now, all of you have forayed into deep tech in many different ways. So I'm sure our audience would love to know a little bit more about you and what's your current role in that spans across the deep tech sector. Shall we start with Jeanette?
Hi, hello everyone. Good morning. So I'm Janet Ooi. I'm currently part of the Oracle Solution Engineering team. So I basically handle the data science and analytics solution components. So every day we work with clients to basically look around what solution would be best in terms of the various analytics technology as well as all the whole data management stack. So of course, with before you could even provide a solution, it will be really necessary for you to really understand deeply, how the technology works, how all these the process behind data science and analytics works. So yeah, so it's an exciting job, day-to-day job that yeah. So happy to share more later.
Yeah. What about Mark?
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Chua. I'm a fund manager and lead data scientist at Maybank Asset Management. So I have 13 years of investment experience across corporate finance and equities. And I started learning about data science in 2015 and started to use it as part of my work. And sometime in 2019, I took on a dual hat of a lead data scientist. So I would say that I'm not really someone who made a move into deep tech in the sense that you stop doing something and then you start doing something else. I'm a bit of the case where I'm actually wearing two hats and sort of doing two things at the same time. And a lot of my job is really to transition the fund management industry or my business from a more traditional approach to a more quantitative approach and using tools like artificial intelligence to help us do our job better and faster.
Thank you, Mark, for that. Next, we have Tern Poh from AISG.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So my name is Tern Poh. I'm a principal AI consultant at AI Singapore. So I'm part of the advisory team. So as part of my day-to-day job, I help companies to scope AI use cases for their businesses, and if necessary, help them to develop AI model based on the discussions that we had. So other than that, also going to companies to do some like education program for them, like AI for everybody, etc. So my background was not in finance to start with, so I graduated from SMU with a Bachelor of Business Management in Finance in 2014. So I worked for a few years in the commercial sector before getting a bit bored and decided to take up coding and make a transition to AI. So later on, I can share with you more of my experience.
Right. Thank you, Tempo. And last but not least, we have Ash from Microsec.
Thanks, Veronica. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Ash, and I take care of customer success in Microsec. So what I do in my daily job is to look into customers' requirements and also understanding their requirements and the sort of technical specifications. And also I help to say talk to the backend to say how are we going to deliver the sort of solutions for the customers. In addition, I also take care of the partnerships because in this space of cybersecurity IoT, we do work a lot with different sort of partners, especially those devices infrastructure providers. In the sessions, I will share more later about my experience and why and how I actually got into this deep tech space.
Thank you, Ash. I think all of us are really excited to hear more and how we get into the deep tech sector. If you look at the poll results out right now, and it seems like most of our participants and audience here today are actually still exploring their options. So I'm sure they will be very keen to listen to hear in a little bit about, hey, what made you these choices, and then how do I get onto that, right? So I remember, I'm from HR, and I'm still a HR practitioner, even though now I work in the deep tech ecosystem. So there's lots of possibilities, and as I interact with so many different talented individuals within the sector these days, and everyone comes from different walks of life, right? So I got into this particular sector particularly because of my children, right? So I thought this is the next, this is the future generation. I should know a little bit about AI, cyber, and the world that we're trying to live in. So that's my own personal motivation. So let's hear a little bit about, what got you into or towards deep tech, and what are the first few steps that you took? Maybe, Tern Poh, you want to share a little bit, because you were in that corporate world, right? And then you say, okay, no, let's just switch into something else. So what's that motivation like?
Yeah, sure. So prior to AI Singapore, I was in Procter & Gamble. So I was a procurement manager there, doing procuring indirect services, meaning like software services, etc. So I start to notice a trend. A lot of vendors has been coming to me and preach about their products. They say, hey, I have AI capabilities built in. They start talking about neural networks, AI technology. I know nothing about it. So that's why I need to buy something, you have to understand it. That's why I started to read up on the various things, the products they are looking at. And I was looking at the quotations and everything they're giving me. Like, wow, they are earning a lot from AI. So it's like, seems like that's the next big thing. And that's why I took up an interest. And on every Friday evening, I'll just go to my office, lock out the door, do my own self-learning in the office. So eventually I pick up enough skills. So at that point of time, AI Singapore launched this AI apprenticeship program. So it's a 9-month long program where people will leave their job to undergo this 9-month training under AI Singapore to deep skill themselves in AI. So thankfully, that program was around at that point of time. So I left my job, my comfortable job at Procter & Gamble, took a huge gamble, went over to AI Singapore, 9 months, deep skill myself. After the programs, I quite like it in terms of what the organization is doing and what the potential of AI there is. So I decided to rejoin AI Singapore as part of the team there to help other people to adopt AI and accelerate the AI journey in the respective companies.
Right. Thank you, Tern Poh. Right. That's an interesting take. Leaving the job behind is never easy, right? Going into something that you're not quite sure, but it's always something that triggers. What about Mark? Mark, you said your case is slightly different, right? So you expanded into deep tech, and how did that come about?
Right. So I think for me, it's a bit of a special circumstances, because the fund management industry currently is in the process of being transformed by all these technology. So there arose this need in the business for someone to look at all these this new area. And how I got started was because I actually come from an investment background. And then some time ago, someone sent me this message, saying that, Li Ka-shing, Hong Kong's richest man, has some advice for you. If you're a young man with not much money, he can teach you how to invest your money. So blah, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of the points that struck me was that he said that even if you don't have a lot of money, you have to invest in your own training and upskilling. So I decided to take that advice. So in 2015, I went for some classes. It was called investment analytics at that time, but it taught me how to code. At that time, it was using R. And so because I paid for the course myself, it was very painful. There was a little bit of help from SkillsFuture at that time. But at that time, it wasn't the full cost getting a discount. You just got like $400, which you can use to offset the cost of the training program. So because it was very painful, I made sure that I learned something from it. So the most difficult point is actually the weekend after the course. That's when you forget everything. So on Monday, when you come back to it, you actually realize that, hey, actually, I don't remember a lot of it. So what I did was I tried to use it in the course of my work. Everything that I used to do, let's say in Excel or something, I tried to move it into R. And then that's how I got started. And we started, at that time, I remember actually feeling pretty excited about the whole journey, because some of the things that people do, like, we look at charts of, prices. But now instead of just looking at one price, I can look at, 10 on one screen, just because everything is, vectorized and it's so much faster. And you can actually show it to your bosses and, they can see that, hey, actually these things make a difference. So you get into this very positive cycle. And then, one course led to another course. And I actually benefited a lot from the SkillsFuture program, because over time, the subsidies got more. I went for some of the courses that Martin Andrews, another speaker, is going to introduce his company called Red Cat AI. They teach you about neural networks and computer vision, natural language processing. So I went for his suite of courses, and I started to go into AI, because I realized that, hey, actually AI is all built using Python and R, all the same tools that you use for data science. And so for me, it was really an expansion into an unmet need within an existing business. And and of course, just to clarify, for those who are wondering, doing 2 jobs doesn't mean getting twice your pay. It doesn't mean that.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Definitely interesting to hear how you got yourself onto the first few SkillsFuture program. And it has definitely changed a lot, from $400 or $500 back then. That $500 is still around, by the way.
Yeah.
And but now it's on top of that, there's like 70 to 90% funding if you're a Singaporean and PR. So that definitely goes a long way to helping, I think, different individuals who are interested in exploring those options. We'll cover a little bit more about that in a little bit, but yeah, let's hear from Jeanette. Jeanette, what about your situation there?
Yeah, so in my case, right, so probably a little bit different. Like when I was in school, I discovered something that I fall asleep like in history classes, but I love math. But being a female, there's also something, like people expect you to be kind of doing like the more management role, like more office role. So that's where I kind of started. So I took up industrial engineering. That they say there are more females in this course than all those mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So I took industrial engineering, where it's like half management and half technical and stats and all these. So I actually, like, my first career path was more into product innovation, like all those management, financial consulting. But then, I really enjoy like doing hands-on and really like playing with stuff, like doing something. So I think that helps. So all the circumstances, like the curiosity, the passion to actually, walk the talk, and whatever product innovation I'm talking about, I want to be able to touch it, to do it, and all. So in somewhere in 2013 and 14, like I was invited to actually migrate to New York, but given it's so far away and I'm so far from my family, I said, okay, probably that's not the path. So I came back and reconnected with all my, my old colleagues and all. And that's where this whole idea about starting up like a company in AI, in data science came about. And that was a very early stage where people look at us and say, like, what are you talking about? Right. But luckily, in outside Singapore and outside Asia, there has been already a lot of, conferences, summits, and support that would allow me to kind of pick up these skills ahead of time. So when we came back to Singapore in 2014-15 to set up this company, it was, it's the familiarity is somewhat there already. So that's, and the rest, it's like, okay, passion fueling this whole um, um, this whole kind of vision, right? So of doing, diving deeper and deeper. It's addicting, right? And once you're there, it's like, okay, I want to do more, I want to do more, and I would do more. And that's how I arrive at this. Yeah.
We can see Ash nodding away,
Yeah.
agreeing to everything that Jeanette is saying, So Ash, why don't you tell us your story? What are you so agreeing to?
So just to add into Janet's, is that once you know a lot more about customers' requirements, you're just like, hey man, how come they want so much of this whole thing? And there's only so much that you can do, right? So I started my journey like many years back. That was in 2012. At that time, I was with Singtel, and they already started having this sort of hackathons, yearly hackathons, and I participated in one of them, and I found that, hey, this is something I like. It's very vibrant. It's very there's a lot of energy in it. There's you talk so much to the customers. Basically, you don't want to be stuck in your corporate jobs at the desktop, and then just having your boss telling you what to do, and then you're just doing what people is just telling you what to do, right? So I found that, hey, that maybe that's something I want to go and learn about all these technologies and all this companies that's actually doing that. So I joined a cybersecurity company back then. That was a very nascent stage. One of the founders, he sold his companies for about 280 million USD back then, and they started something in Singapore, headquartered here, and I found that, hey, maybe that's something I want to do. I was doing something I really love, which is marketing communications. And that was where I took off with a few other companies along the way. And eventually I was with this courier delivery technology platform, something like Grab delivery. Back then, Uber was just started to venture into Singapore. And then eventually I landed up with an AI company. And currently, of course, my role in this cybersecurity IoT firm.
I think all of us can relate to, the different stories, how we all got started into towards deep tech itself, and if you think about it, maybe Mark, it wasn't that scary for you because it's not exactly a change, but it's heading in a positive, expanding role direction. But I think in Tern Poh and Jeanette's case and Ash, when you were thinking about, hey, maybe a switch and moving into an area that you may not be as familiar with, things could be like, what's next? Is it in the right direction? Right? So there's always that what if question kind of hovering around your head. So I think we can now ask our audience here the next poll question. If you could go back to the poll tab, right? And in question 2, I think Ash has prepared a question for everyone here and says, how do you know if you are the right fit for that deep tech role that you're interested in, right? This is a very valid question because I think maybe all of you can, our panelists can share a little bit about what they think, how did you know in your journey that this was the right direction that you were taking? So Tern Poh, you want to let us know a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I can share a bit. So I think the first thing is that you need to have the passion for it. I think I can describe my feelings when I first learn self-learn AI, right? So I sign up for my own courses as well from various online courses at Coursera, Udacity. So it's like, like the first time when your parents bring you to a theme park, you step in the new world, you got this roller coaster on your right, you got this a lot of fancy rides all around you. So do you feel that excitement once you step into that new world of data science? Like when you look at the videos as you progress along, when you start doing mini projects along the way, if whatever you're doing keeps you wanting to learn more, it's like having this excitement when you step into a theme park.
Right.
I think that will be like a sort of like maybe that is a gut feeling that, hey, this is something that you might be interested in. And I think one of them I highlight also is that, right, in the tech industry, not everybody needs to be a coder, because even in the AI world, there's the AI engineer, so there's a product manager, there's also a marketing manager who's helping to market the AI products. So if I guess if for most people here, we have our own prior experience, like be it from finance, marketing, HR, etc. Right. So what I will see is that, right, that core expertise that everybody has, that is like the flour of the cake. I use analogy. I like to use analogy, right? Then the AI knowledge, that deep tech knowledge that you gain, could be the icing on the cake to actually make the cake better, so that then it will help you to contribute more to the companies or to your existing job roles. Right. So there are many other roles other than AI engineers or machine learning engineers or data scientists in a tech industry.
So Tern Poh's case is he went on and try out a few courses online and see whether there was excitement there.
Yes,
right?
I feel excited. So that's why I went on, and I can never stop.
That rings some bells, and hey, I'm in a safe direction if I'm happy doing all this stuff. Right? Yeah. I mean, what about the rest of you? I mean, we see our poll results right now. I mean, most of them are saying talk to your career counselor, right? So great if you have a career counselor, but if you don't have one, then what else can we do?
Yeah, maybe I could.
Yeah,
they could add. Yeah, I would like to echo Tern Poh's, like how he talked about passion, because I think that is the similar path for me. Finding that passion, because all these like coding skills, AI, all these are tools out there for you to be able to bring out the best and do whatever you want to do. But I think deep down inside, this sounds a bit cheesy, right? But you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? And it might, like, the answer might not be totally related to tech, but you might find, tech could help you, bring that mission or vision out. So once you really start feeling that your work and your personal life kind of all the same together, that you're just happy to keep going, then I think that you found that fire inside you. And I think because it's going into tech, it's not easy. It sounds sexy. They say like, oh, data science is the sexiest job. It sounds easy. It sounds easy and cool, but really there's really a lot of hard work that needs to go inside. But so if you don't feel the need to do it, the why to do it, I think it's very difficult, and you soon lose interest in all these trainings, because it's really overwhelming, and it could easily result to burning out. So yeah, so I really think that passion, understanding what you want to do and why you need to do it, is very important.
Right. Yeah. So do we go into the different programs then? What kind of opportunities there might be as a result, right? So we saw that from the polls, a lot of them are looking at career counseling and perhaps even contacting employees of companies that they're interested in. I think that's a great way of like talking and finding out more information. I think the first step is about finding out about yourself, information about the job, whether you're really interested in it, the passion, like what Tern Poh and Janet has been sharing. Right. Maybe now we can try to share and understand a little bit more about the programs that you have each taken. What were some of the programs that you have helped you along the way, or how did you actually kind of explore into the roles and to understand more about these knowledge and skills that we're talking about? Right. Mark, you were sharing a little bit about some of the programs that you talked about, Skills Future. You started with, doing Python?
I started with R. I took a CFA program called Investment Analytics in R. And then after that, I took on some courses on AI. It was called Deep Learning Jumpstart, Computer Vision and Natural Language Processing, all by Red Cat Labs that Martin Andrews taught. And Martin Andrews is a former developer at Google. And I think he's a pretty good teacher. And I think it helped me to learn more about it. And, he also goes to the fundamentals. So you actually go back to reading the academic papers and almost felt like going back to university for a while. So I think that these courses really helped me to get started in this area.
Ash, do you have anything else to add on?
Yeah, definitely.
You're coming in from a slightly different angle as well, right?
Yep. So currently, I think there are a lot of courses right now that basically prepares every candidates or every interested individual to say jump on board some of the kind of things that they want to learn. But I think first of all is to really understand the sort of ecosystem and also the landscape of it. So there are many ways of doing it. And the poll which I created was just to help everyone understand that career counselor is one of the avenues that you can go to. But then there are also a lot of other avenues, like you can go to exhibition fair, like this one, New Frontier. And also you can speak to some of those, go to one of the tech companies and then just have a coffee with that, the product manager or the engineers that you want to speak to and see if that actually fits in your role. Because I think hearing from horse's mouth is always much, direct translation to, your concerns. Because eventually you will still come back to the point where you will want to ask, is this really what I want to do in my life? And I think that's very important, because if you're doing something you don't like, then your productivity, your creativity, problem solving, and work, and maybe it affects your life as well. So I think it's critical and also important to have that sort of elaborated homework done in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, Ash, that's a great point. If I may just jump in a little bit on the opportunity part. So my own experience with that is that, sometimes when industries are being transformed by new technologies, there could be opportunities within your existing company as well. Like, for example, in the finance industry, you could be in a fintech startup using AI to disrupt, or you can be one of the incumbents, and incumbents are also trying to keep up. So let's say if you're working in an incumbent company, and you want to digitize, what do? You go out and hire someone, a data scientist, for example. But then after you hire this data scientist, you find out that, hey, the business guys and this data scientist, they don't really understand each other. They don't know what each other talking about. So you actually, there is actually this opportunity for someone who knows a little bit about both areas, about the business, about the technology, to sort of act as a translator of sorts between the two of them. And if you can bring in these skill sets and combine them and create something new, then there's also a role for that. So do also keep on the lookout for these kind of roles within existing companies. That could be something that people tend to miss.
Absolutely.
Maybe I can add on as well on this. So
on.
I think the best way to really experience a new sectors is to get your hands dirty. So you could email the employees of the companies to ask them about the experience, but it's more of like just sharing what the experience. I think the best way is to get into the pool, like to see whether you like swimming or not like by watching YouTube's videos on how to swim. So that's why I think the Singapore government has done an excellent job.
Yeah,
there are plenty of opportunities around, and most of the opportunities ended up, let's say, if an internship with companies, or to offset the risk that they are taking, right? I think most of the programs that the Singapore government has implemented, they have some sort of reimbursement or monthly stipends they give to you. So so that, during that 6 to 9 months kind of like program, you don't need to starve, and go hungry. So you'll still be able to have a reasonable, good quality of life while you're undergoing training. So I think this is where I think there's a lot of opportunities out there in terms of the programs available to all of us. So I think we should all keep lookout for such opportunities and register for them. I mean, the worst case is that after 6 months of training, you don't like it, you can always go back to your previous job. But now you bring back additional skills and knowledge to your previous job. So I don't think there will be any to your disadvantage. In fact, if anything, your boss will most likely give you a pay raise because now you know a bit of a tech and can add on values to your departments.
I totally agree with Tern Poh's point in terms of, adding in that element of actual working on actual projects in companies, that kind of mentorship. I think Janet was also sharing a little bit about how she herself benefited from it. Janet, you want to give us a little bit about that, about what that mentoring meant for you?
Yeah, so I think in venturing into something new, it takes a lot of it's scary, and it takes some courage, but at the same time the support and the resources around you is very important. And I think for everyone into this journey, it's very important to have that culture of asking, right? Connect with your network, connect with your old bosses, with your old colleagues, and just ask and seek help. And mentoring is very important, especially when talking about say starting up a new company, learning new skills, been there, done that. That's a old cliche, but if you could take a shortcut, why not, right? Basically, because in this technology space, everything is so fast, everything is evolving so fast, so you don't have to repeat everything whatever the other people are doing, but it's good to pick and choose your battle. And again, like passion plus the right path, these two combined will most likely help you get to the right place in a timely manner. So mentorship, I think, is really good, is important. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the key reasons why we see that nowadays, I think in a lot of the programs that we have been rolling out, whether from SGInnovate, our Summation, Infinity, and the new PowerX program, as well as I think the programs that I think AI Singapore has rolled out, includes the part on the job training, where you will actually work on real life projects with companies. And that's the part where you have a mentor and really guiding you along the way and helping you to kind of pick up these kind of skills. It's a good first entry into deep tech roles, into understanding this different areas. And even if you're trying out not necessarily a deep tech role, but really in a new segment, like Mark says, it's about trying to understand a little bit more about how it can be applied, and who else might have actually been in that space, and getting some guidance from there, and that would probably accelerate that growth. Okay. So as we move into, I think, the next part of our segment, let's take a look at the questions that our audience has been posting to us, right? Let's pull it up a little bit. Can everyone see the questions? Yeah, okay, great. The first question here is, how did you overcome the fear of not having any knowledge of coding or no confidence in programming? Coming from a business background, I have no clue, and I'm quite overwhelmed with both. Wow. So who didn't have the programming background? Most of us didn't, right? So Tern Poh, Mark, and Janet, right? I mean, nobody started with programming on day one. So come on, share your views. How did you overcome?
Veronica, I'll just share a quick one. Actually, I started with a programming background. I was doing a lot of Java back then, and somehow I wasn't I didn't want to continue my programming career, so I jumped out of it, and now I'm in a business role. Right. So it's kind of opposite.
Yeah, so yours is a slightly different one. So it's back to where finding your passion, right? But in this particular case, it's talking about, let's say, moving into exploring into a programming, into a more technical role. How do you take that first step and overcome that fear?
Yeah, so for me, I didn't have any programming experience prior to 2015. So like I said, going for classes helped with that. And it was really just practicing with it and getting your hands dirty. And nowadays, if you don't know how to do anything, there's always Google or YouTube around to help you, right? So you just have to ask anything from, how do I change a light bulb? You can actually Google that, and there's someone who's written something about it, or someone who's has a video on that. So these are all, additional resources that can help you if you forgot something from after your class. And it also helps if you try and use it for some projects that you find useful in your daily life or in your daily job. That could be automated, or if you can, sort of increase the productivity. And then if you actually use it, then you will also try and refine it over time, make it, improve it, and make it better. And I guess it's a slow process how to learn from it. But I think like anything, if it's difficult, it's probably worth your time to invest in it.
Maybe I can add as well. So I think one thing that I can relate to this question is that when I first want to enter this coding areas, right? When I look at online, everybody that's talking about you need to know so many things, like linear algebra, matrix multiplications, how to do Python, SQL, everything, right? So it might sound a bit overwhelming. So my suggestion is that, right, sign up for a good course, a good online course, right? So a good online course, if you finish it end to end, because it's very structured, it brings you along the journey. Once you finish a first online courses, you will get around 70% of the knowledge that you need to know roughly to get started. So then, right, with that, go for another course by another provider. So the good thing about this is that many providers, online providers, look at the same area from different angles. So do a second online course. By the time you are done with second online course, you should be around 80% already, because each incremental cost and the marginal benefit will get smaller. By the third time you do finish from a third course from a third provider, right, you should be around 80 to 90% confidence that you know the required knowledge to get started in that area. So with that, they move on to another area again. So do 2 to 3 courses from good reputable provider, and look at the same problem from different angles. So if you go by this approach, systematic approach, one topic at a time from different angles, you should be on your way to getting hired by a good companies, because you have multiple perspectives of how to look at different problems.
I think it's really great hearing, how there are different approach. And Tern Poh's point is, if you do it 10,000 times, for sure, you're going to be really great at it, right? But start bite size, one at a time, Coming back to the original question and what we have been talking about as well, you do want to know, I think, whether this is something that really, really appeals to you, right? As we were talking, Ash made a point right at the beginning and said, he deliberately moved away from programming. Doesn't mean that he's not in the deep tech sector. He could still have a career. I mean, I don't have any technical experience. I'm from a business background, HR background, consulting and stuff like that. And eventually within that sector, but in a different function. So there are options and there are possibilities. And even when you go into the job tab in this event, you will find that there are technical roles and there are also non-technical roles. So when you're exploring, be true to yourself. If you are grinding your teeth after one course and after 2 courses, it's probably not the right fit for you, right? And probably you need to start looking a little bit deeper and say, what else? What might be something else? What might be some of the experience that I have that I can continue to tap on and bring additional value in this direction? Yeah. But let's move on to the next 2 questions. Dear panelists, is there any one question that you are really appeals to you and that you really want to talk about it?
I want to answer the number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, like stuck at Hello World, am I hopeless in the field when you're learning tools and where to start? I think, there's no such thing as hopeless, right? There's always hope. And I think that my advice for everyone is, I know that like the courses are overwhelming, like you don't know which one to take. Even the language to use, like Python, R, Ruby, Scala, all these, right? So many languages to choose from. But at the end of the day, don't get stuck on the tools, but understand why do you want to, what why do you want to use it? What are you using it for? And I think that's the main. That's going to go back to what Tern Poh and I were talking about, passion, right? To understand, why you need to do this. Just like cooking, right? You have all the ingredients for you. If you're hungry and you need to eat something, you'll be forced to put all the ingredients and cook. And if it gets burned and it doesn't taste the same as as what you're expecting, you do it over again. But there's a purpose, there's a goal that you're looking for, so the rest becomes easier, such that you don't have to look at all these strange codes and it's like, what am I doing, memorizing it and then trying to replicate it without really understanding why you have to do it and why you need to do it. So I think just find that goal and then use these tools to help you achieve those. Yeah.
Maybe
So
I add
that's,
as well. I think
yeah.
you also need to know why are you learning C, because from scratch to C is quite a big jump. So I think if you want to get started in the tech industry, R or Python might be a good alternative first. So R and Python can do most of the things you want to do. If you want to go to C, it's really when you're into software programming, trying to optimize solutions. But otherwise, go for something easier to learn, at least like Python or R.
Yeah, and maybe
Yes.
I can add in that everyone learns differently. Like for myself, I actually find that online courses don't actually work very well for me. So I go for physical classes and I actually read books that people write about the subject. So it's also about finding what works best for yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Shall we take question 4? There are many different courses in deep tech online, which may differ in accreditation, which programs are more likely to be recognized by employers. I mean, I think all of you would have had some different encounters, so maybe you can share a little bit about your perspectives here.
Maybe I do a bit of selling here as well. So for AI Singapore, we have our own online courses like AI for Everybody, AI for Industry. We have also developed our own AI certification program. So for the AI certification, you have to undergo like an interview and submit a project report. So my colleagues and I will be looking through reports and interviewing people to ensure that they have the right requisite. If they pass, we'll give them like a certified engineers, AI engineers kind of qualifications. So one of the potential areas you can look at is AI Singapore. So that's a good place to start.
Anyone else? I mean, Janet, do you have any advice to the people out here? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, at least for speaking maybe from Oracle and the probably the tech vendors, like all these accreditations, it's just really just kind of understanding how far or how advanced you are in terms of the technology. But at the end of the day, when it comes to hiring and getting people in, I think it's related to the other question about the soft skills, right? Technical skills is one aspect of it, just understanding how deep you know about a technology, whether it's Oracle, Microsoft, Google, or all the other stack out there. But I think we also look at the soft skills to say, how comfortable are you in this ecosystem, because it's not just about building all these codes and algorithms, but it's also about being able to converse, as from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective, from a solution perspective, and really understanding and interacting with your colleagues and the rest of the people in the ecosystem, whether it's government, other enterprises and all. So it's really a combination of both. So do choose and pick accreditations that are kind of comprehensive enough to give you a feel of the ecosystem, right? Like all the components, and then build on the soft skills as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yeah.
Mm.
I think we have more or less maxed out the time that we have allocated today. And I think if we could just sum up the parting, to summarize the panel session and share a little bit about what we're looking at. So besides training programs, definitely understand a little bit about which type of technology you're interested in, what those requirements might be, and definitely, you know, it's then pick the programs that you're interested and explore that. And beyond that, deep tech is not just technical roles. There are non-technical roles within the sector as well, and exploring options about what your current domain and soft skills might be and how that might be transferable is definitely a way to go. So we have actually put together a quick slide. If I could put the slides on board. Yeah, so you can actually see within that, I'll just run through very quickly here, that there are different programs available out here in Singapore. I think between what WSG has put together, I think in what SGInnovate has put together. So we mentioned, you know, the summation program, the Infinity series. So if you want to find out a little bit more about those apprenticeship programs for students, fresh graduates, stay on and hear more in the next session. In the next one, there are also the training sessions that Mark was talking about for deep learning, the Jumpstart series. There's like 5 different workshops there that could take you step by step through the programming of and learning about deep learning. And if you're interested in cybersecurity, there's also a series of different workshops available. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have also AI Singapore, the type of programs as Tern Poh has shared, a whole series from online courses down to exclusive apprenticeship programs. And IMDA and TESA has also a very wide range of programs available. Yeah, so there you go. Right, and I think if you look through that, this deck of slides is available for download, and you can take a look at that if you are interested in. Can we have the link up there? Yeah, so if you are interested, you can download this deck of slides and be able to see all the different programs. And if you stay in tune, you can also participate in the different booths, visit our different booths for the exhibitors who are hiring, find out a little bit more about the roles they have, the kind of jobs that they are looking for, just to give yourself a take of what is out there in the deep tech sector. Okay, and thank you everyone for sharing the session today. Mark, Ash, Tern Poh, and Janet, you know, thank you for sharing your very valuable experience in the journey that you have been. I'm sure our participants and audience here today have really benefited from your sharing. And thank you everybody again for coming into the session. And we hope you have a great day ahead. Right.
Thanks, Veronica.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the morning session. I hope you've gained lots through the candid sharing by all our panelists. Next up, we have the following programs: Startup Showcase, Summation, and Infinity Series, which will continue within this auditorium. You can also tune in to a video screening of AI for Good in conversation with Professor Yoshua Bengio and Dr. Kai-Fu Lee, where 2 titans of the field explore the promise of AI for humanity. And this will be held in Auditorium 2, which you can access through the program tab.